I want to start today's deep dive by looking at a word that, on the surface, feels like the absolute worst kind of corporate linguistic crime.
Oh boy. I think I know exactly which word you're dreading.
Yeah, you probably do. You see it in a strategy deck, and your immediate reflex is just to, roll your eyes and check your phone.
Let me guess. Brandformance.
Brandformance.
Yeah, it really does have that certain consultant trying to justify their retainer fee ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it totally does. It sounds like a Frankenword, like someone could decide
Okay.
between two different departments, so they just smashed the door signs together.
Exactly.
But, and I guess this is why we're doing this deep dive today, once you get past that awful jargon, the sack of research we're looking at suggests this isn't just a buzzword.
Right.
It's actually diagnosing a very specific and honestly very expensive pathology in modern business. I'm your host, by the way, and I'm here with our resident expert to unpack all of this.
Glad to be here. And I think that's a really great way to frame it. It's a diagnosis of this almost like a split personality disorder that's been plaguing marketing for about a decade now.
So before we get into the actual solution, and we have a literal mathematical formula from the sources to discuss later, which is kind of mind-blowing, let's talk about the conflict, because the text describes this as a literal war. So who is fighting whom here?
Well, it's a war over budget,
Okay.
mostly, over philosophy, and really over what success actually looks like. So on one side, you have the performance marketers.
It's called the scientists.
Right, the scientists. These are the data obsessives. They live in the spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
If they put $1 into a machine, usually, Google or Meta, they want to know exactly how many dollars came out within 24 hours.
It's totally binary.
Completely binary. Did they click? Did they buy? If not, the ad failed. They view marketing as this pure arbitrage machine.
Which, I mean, it sounds logical, right? If I
Yeah.
spend $1, I want 2 back.
Sure.
But then you have the other camp.
The brand experts, the artists.
Right.
And they argue that you just can't measure a human relationship in milliseconds. They care about the long game.
Loyalty.
Loyalty, the vibe, the storytelling. The completely irrational reasons we choose, say, Nike over Reebok, even if the shoe is made of the exact same material.
So one side is essentially shouting, show me the money right now, and the other is saying, no, make them love us forever.
Exactly. And for years, these teams literally sat in different rooms.
Yeah.
They had completely different KPIs. The performance team thought the brand team was, fluffy and wasteful.
And brand team thought the performance team was spammy.
Spammy, aggressive, totally short-sighted.
And so the premise of Brandformance, as ugly as the word is that this separation is no longer just annoying. It's actually dangerous.
It's fatal. The sources we've analyzed for this deep dive, they argue that the market has shifted in a way that makes spray and pray performance marketing incredibly expensive. And pure branding is just incredibly hard to justify to a CFO these days. So Brandformance is the peace treaty. It's the reconciliation of the math and the emotion.
Okay, so that's our mission today. We're going to unpack this peace treaty for you. We're going to look at the structural definition. We'll break down that specific math formula I mentioned, which involves human connection, touch points, and AI. And we're going to look at the workflow changes that make this actually happen.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the definition. What is the beast?
The sources define Brandformance as a holistic approach. It's not just doing brand marketing and performance marketing side by side.
Like operating in silos but reporting together.
No, not at all. It is integrating them into a single, continuous feedback loop.
But why now? Like, why does this matter in 2026? Why couldn't we just keep doing what we were doing back in 2015?
Two main reasons, really. Saturation and fragmentation.
Okay.
We are living through this absolute explosion of digital platforms. You've got TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, email, search, YouTube, connected TV.
And user behavior is entirely different on all of them. I mean, I definitely don't act the same way on LinkedIn as I do on TikTok.
Radically different. And the old model, the old way of doing things, was to shoot one really expensive, glossy TV commercial,
Right.
and then just chop it up and force feed it to every single platform.
Which our sources explicitly call the spray and pray method.
Exactly. But today, if you take a glossy, high-production TV spot and you just drop it onto TikTok, it doesn't just perform poorly.
It's actively repelling.
Yes.
Yes.
It feels like an interruption. It breaks the spell of the feed.
Which leads us to a key concept in the text that I really want to drill down on. Native content.
Oh, this is crucial.
Because I think people misunderstand it. Native doesn't just mean, oh, we shot this on an iPhone, does it?
No, and that's a very important distinction. Native means it respects the context of the platform.
The vibe.
The vibe. It matches the tone, the pacing, and the visual language of what the user is already consuming right there and then.
So on LinkedIn, native might look like a text-heavy sort of analytical thought leadership post.
Right.
But on TikTok, it's a lo-fi, super fast-paced video. On YouTube, maybe it's a 20-minute deep dive tutorial.
Precisely. And the risk, and the sources are very, very clear on this, the risk is invisibility.
If you don't blend in.
If you are on a platform but you aren't speaking the language, you are essentially invisible to the user. Or actually worse, you're the guy showing up to a beach party in a tuxedo.
A tuxedo at a beach party.
Right. You don't just stand out. You look lost. You look like you completely do not belong there.
You look like you're trying to sell something, rather than just being part of the conversation. And nobody likes the guy in the tuxedo trying to sell life insurance while everyone else is trying to play volleyball.
Exactly. And that triggers banner blindness.
Yeah.
We are all absolute experts at ignoring ads now.
So true.
So the goal of Brandformance is to create content that provides value before it asks for the sale. It has to feel like it comes from the brand's natural voice, but tailored exactly to where the user is sitting right now.
So structurally, how do companies actually organize this? Because frankly, it sounds exhausting to make 10 different pieces of content for 10 different platforms every day.
It does, but the sources introduce a really great framework for this. They call it the anchor and the catalyst.
The anchor as a catalyst. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really helpful mental model to visualize how these two previously warring sides actually work together. So, component A is brand building.
And that acts as the anchor.
Right.
Anchor implies weight, stability.
It keeps you grounded. Think about it. In a world where the algorithms literally change every week, your brand, your story, your core values, your aesthetic is the only thing that stays constant.
The text emphasizes that this is where strategic creator partnerships come into play, right?
Yes, exactly.
And this is another area where the terminology has really shifted, because we aren't just talking about, influencers holding up a bottle of vitamins and smiling for the camera anymore.
No, that's the 2018 model. The new model is treating creators as independent production houses.
Oh, that makes sense.
You aren't just paying for their audience. You are paying for their ability to translate your anchor message into the native language of the platform.
Because they know what their specific audience tolerates way better than your VP of marketing ever could.
Exactly. They build the trust. They build what the source calls the staying power. That's the anchor. It holds the ship in place so it doesn't just drift away with whatever the new trend is today.
Okay, so if branding is the anchor, then performance marketing is
the catalyst,
which implies a reaction, acceleration, moving things forward.
It implies getting things moving. You can have the best brand anchor in the entire world, but if it's just sitting at the bottom of the ocean floor and nobody sees it, it's completely worthless.
Right.
The catalyst is the distribution engine. It addresses the budget, and it navigates the quirks of the different algorithms.
So this is where the science part kicks back in.
Yes. The catalyst is targeted media buying. It's ensuring that the right piece of creative hits the right pair of eyeballs at the exact moment they are ready to actually pay attention.
The source explicitly says, I think the quote is, "Stop wasting money on less than ideal prospects."
Which is fascinating because branding people usually want to reach everyone.
Right. Awareness is usually this massive, broad metric. Look how many impressions we got.
Exactly. But Brandformance says, no. Use data to narrow the field and then use your creative to win the heart.
It's about efficiency.
Correct. When you synthesize these two, the anchor of a good story and the catalyst of really smart targeting, you get what the source calls positive collective group sentiment.
Which is just a very fancy way of saying people actually like you.
People like you, and more importantly, they trust you enough to come back. And that sets the stage for recurring business, which is the holy grail. It is so much cheaper to keep a customer than to go out and find a new one.
Okay, I want to pivot to the math now.
Oh, the formula.
Yes, the formula. Because when I saw this in the notes, I had a real aha moment. It takes all these abstract concepts we've been talking about and makes them disturbingly concrete.
It really does.
And honestly, it explains why so many companies are just failing right now.
It's an elegant formula, but it is incredibly unforgiving.
Let's lay it out for you listening. The Brandformance formula is
human connection divided by consumer touch points, all raised to the power of AI.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that slowly so everyone can picture it in their head. Open parenthesis.
Right.
Human connection.
That's your numerator.
Divided by.
Yep.
Consumer touch points.
Your denominator.
Close parenthesis.
Yeah.
And then all of that is raised to the power of AI.
Exactly.
Let's break down these variables. First, the numerator, human connection.
This is the art. It represents the strength of the emotional bond, the storytelling, the shared values, that specific feeling of, man, this brand just gets me.
In a saturated market where every single product feature can be copied by a competitor in a week, this is basically your only durable moat.
Okay, that makes sense. We want that human connection number to be as high as possible.
But the denominator is tricky. We are dividing by consumer touch points.
Yes, this is what trips people up.
Because usually, in marketing, we're told that more touch points are better, omnichannel, be everywhere.
Right.
But this formula suggests that as you increase your touch points, you might actually be lowering your overall score. Explain that logic to us.
Think of it as brand dilution, or the signal-to-noise ratio.
Okay.
If you have a really high level of human connection, let's say your local coffee shop, the barista knows your name, they know your kids' names, they know your dog's name.
Your human connection is super high.
Super high. And your touch points are low. It's maybe just face-to-face when you walk in the door.
The result is a really strong relationship.
Right. Now, imagine that exact same coffee shop expands to 5,000 locations.
Oh boy.
They launch an app, an email newsletter, Instagram ads, SMS alerts, billboards.
The touch points number just explodes.
It explodes. And unless they can somehow increase the human connection at the exact same rate, the overall quality of the relationship crashes.
You just become a commodity.
You become a commodity.
So the formula is basically a warning. Don't scale your presence if you can't scale the soul of the brand.
Exactly. Spreading yourself thin creates noise, not signal. If you have 1 million touch points but the connection is weak, your base number is a fraction. It's close to 0. You're just spamming people.
And that brings us to the exponent, the multiplier, AI.
This is where the modern context really comes in. Why is AI the exponent? Because in math, an exponent creates exponential change. It is a power multiplier.
But AI isn't the thing itself. It's the force applied to the thing.
Yes, and this is the most critical insight in the entire deep dive. AI doesn't replace the human element. It amplifies whatever's already there.
So let's run the math on that. If I have a really strong human connection and I use AI to distribute it,
you get exponential growth. AI helps you test creative variations with the A/B testing. It helps you understand attribution so you know what's working, and it helps you personalize messages at scale.
It basically takes that local barista feeling and uses data to replicate it for 1 million people. But, and here's the really scary part of the math, what if my base number is bad? What if I have low connection and way too many touch points?
Well, if your base number is less than 1, if you are annoying people more than you are connecting with them, raising that to the power of AI just accelerates your failure.
Wow. That is a stark realization.
Yeah.
AI can help you scale a bad reputation just as fast as a good one.
Faster, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because the algorithms are designed to find reactions. If people are reacting negatively or if they're just completely ignoring you, the AI will deprioritize you. You'll just be spending money to be ignored more efficiently.
So the tech is entirely neutral. It's just an accelerator. It cannot create something out of nothing.
Precisely. It's a lens. If the image is blurry, the lens just makes a giant blurry image.
I want to move from the abstract to the concrete now.
Yeah.
The sources provided some great real-world examples of this strategy in action.
They did.
Because it's super easy to say, just be human and use AI, but what does that actually look like on a Tuesday morning for a marketing team?
Right. There was a fantastic case study involving Instagram that perfectly illustrates this native content concept we talked about.
Walk us through the workflow there, because this wasn't just, post a photo and pray.
No, not at all. So this client decided to stop running ads on Instagram in the traditional sense.
Okay.
Instead, they focused entirely on organic native content. They posted videos that looked exactly like user content.
Meaning entertaining, useful, low production value.
Exactly. They acted like a creator on the platform, not a brand.
And because it fit the vibe of the platform, the organic reach went up.
It skyrocketed. Hundreds of thousands of views. Millions, even.
But as we know, likes don't pay the rent.
Exactly. And here is the performance twist. Most brands would just high-five each other in a meeting, say, great job on the engagement, and leave it at that.
Right.
This team took the data. They used AI and analytics to identify which specific organic videos had the highest retention and the highest engagement. Then they took those specific videos, the proven winners, and they edited them just slightly to run them as paid media ads.
Oh, So they didn't sit in a room and guess what the ad should be.
Nope.
They let the audience choose the ad for them.
Precisely. They essentially whitelisted their most successful organic content, and the result was more than a 100% increase in revenue.
That's massive. And it completely inverts the usual process.
It does.
Usually you make an ad in a boardroom, you pay a ton of money to run it, and you just pray it works. This is make content, see what works in the wild, and then pay to amplify it.
That is the Brandformance loop in action. The brand side creates the connection, the anchor. The performance side uses the data to identify the winner and the budget to scale it, the catalyst.
There was another example in the text regarding e-commerce and search intent. This one felt a bit more traditional, but there was still a lot of nuance regarding how we actually spend the money.
Yes, this is really about budget allocation. The advice here is to put your hard ad dollars into high-intent search terms.
So targeting people who are literally typing buy running shoes size 10.
Right. Those people are at the absolute bottom of the funnel. They have their wallets out. They are ready to spend. That is pure performance. Capture them.
Makes sense.
But, and here is the key, Brandformance twist. Don't try to force your thought leadership content to sell immediately.
Right. Don't put huge buy now buttons all over our company history video.
Exactly. Use the educational content, the brand storytelling to supplement the journey. You use it to build trust and teach the customer so that when they are finally ready to type buy running shoes, they type your brand name instead of a generic term.
It's about recognizing that different pieces of content have completely different jobs.
Yes.
You wouldn't ask every single employee in your company to be a direct salesperson.
Right.
So you can't ask every piece of content to be a direct response ad.
And the sources mention that audiences today are dispersed. We aren't just sitting down and watching one TV channel for 4 hours.
Oh, definitely not. We bounce from TikTok to an email newsletter to a Google search to a podcast to a review site.
Right. And a strong brand identity allows you to be fluid across all those jumps.
It creates a cumulative effect.
Exactly. If I see your native content on TikTok and it makes me laugh, and then I see a high-intent ad on Google a week later, I'm much more likely to click because that anchor is already set. I know who you are.
So for the listener who is sitting there, maybe you run a marketing team or maybe you're a founder, and you're thinking, look, this sounds great, but my team is completely siloed, or we just don't have the budget for a massive AI overhaul. How do they start?
Well, the source had a very simple, almost philosophical piece of advice.
Move.
Yes. The quote is, moving forward is a lot like anything else, with move being the key term.
Analysis paralysis is the real enemy here.
It is. You don't need to overhaul the entire company overnight. You don't need to fire everyone and hire robots. You just need to start breaking down the wall between those two rooms we talked about.
But you also don't have to do it completely alone. The sources talk quite a bit about collaboration.
Yes. If you lack an internal team that can do both the art and the science, the advice is to partner up.
Makes sense.
But you have to be careful. Don't just hire a media buying agency that doesn't understand creative. And definitely don't hire a creative shop that doesn't understand data.
You need partners with a portfolio of integrated case studies.
Exactly. You need an agency that speaks both languages fluently.
And for those working with remote teams or distributed agencies, there's a really specific note in the text about workflow, because this whole test and learn, iterate constantly cycle sounds incredibly intense.
It is intense. And the source warns explicitly against burnout.
Yeah.
If you are constantly churning out native content, testing it, looking at the data, and iterating, that is a grind. You absolutely need clear communication, and you need to break projects down into manageable tasks.
If you try to do everything everywhere all at once, you will just burn out your creative team.
Right. Sustainable growth has to be the goal. It's not about a quick spike in Q1 that completely destroys your team by Q2. You have to build a workflow that actually lasts.
And ultimately, it's about retention.
Right. Always. The source puts it really beautifully. Delighted customers return again and again until they have a reason to go elsewhere. Your job, using both brand and performance together, is to ensure they never, ever find that reason.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered this merging of art and science into a single loop. We've covered the anchor and catalyst framework, which I think is just a fantastic way to visualize the balance. And we completely dissected the formula.
Human connection divided by consumer touchpoints raised to the power of AI.
I honestly feel like that formula needs to be printed on a giant poster in every marketing office. It really clarifies the stakes.
Yeah.
But the big takeaway for me overall is this idea of reconciliation.
It really is. We spent a decade treating brand and performance as mortal enemies. One was fluffy, the other was greedy.
Right.
But the data proves they are actually the perfect couple. They desperately need each other.
And this isn't just for the massive players. It's not just for the Nikes and Apples of the world.
No, not at all. In fact, for small businesses, this unified approach is even more critical. It is literally the difference between just staying in the black and experiencing real exponential growth.
Because you don't have the money to waste on ads that don't work.
Exactly. And you don't have the luxury of branding that doesn't ultimately sell. You have to be efficient. You have to make every single touch point count.
Which brings us to the end. And usually, we like to leave you with a thought that lingers in the margins. You know, something to chew on or explore on your own that goes a bit beyond the tactical advice we just covered.
Well, I keep going back to that formula we spent so much time on. We talked about AI being the exponent, the power multiplier.
Right. It's the superpower.
But there is a very basic rule of math that we kind of glossed over.
What's that?
If the base number is 0, it doesn't matter what the exponent is. 0 to the power of 1,000,000 is still 0.
Oh, wow. That's humbling.
Think about what that actually means for a business. If your human connection is zero, if your brand has no soul, no story, no genuine empathy for the customer,
Yeah.
you can have the absolute best AI in the world. You can have the most expensive algorithms, the best targeting, the fastest computers tracking every click, and the result will still be 0.
It's the ultimate check on our tech obsession, isn't it? We spend so much time talking about the exponent, the AI, the tools, the platforms. But if the thing you are multiplying is empty,
You're just amplifying noise. The tech needs a human core to amplify. Without that, the math just doesn't work.
so before you invest everything in the multiplier, make sure you actually have something worth multiplying.
Exactly.
On that note, go check your numerators. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Brandformance.
See you next time.